Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's start learning because it's English o'clock. Now we have already completed some CBSE questions and explanation of our first chapter, that is the last lesson. Now moving forward with the literary series with literary Thursday and Friday, I'm going to start with the chapter 2, that is Lost Spring by Anees Jung, and we are going to do the complete explanation of it. ऐसे हम एक्सप्लेन करेंगे अगेन. एम मेरा वही रहेगा कि आपको दोबारा ये बुक रीड ना करनी पड़े. ओके, लेट्स क्विकली स्टार्ट विदाउट वेस्टिंग मच ऑफ अ टाइम. Lost Spring, stories of stolen childhood. It is very simple, says stories, so that means there are going to be two stories. One story is of Sahib and the other story is going to be of Mukesh. Sahib ki story will be our first story, while Mukesh's story is going to be our second story. Now let's read a little bit about the author. Anees Jung was born in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. She received her education in Hyderabad and in the USA. Her parents were both writers, began her career as a writer in India. She has been an editor and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad and has authored several books. The following is an excerpt from a book titled, very important, the following is an excerpt from a book titled Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here she analyzes the grinding poverty and traditions which condemn these children to a life of exploitation. Now, these 4 lines are very important because these 4 lines will tell you that this entire chapter that we are going to read is actually an excerpt. That means one of a novel, that is Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. From that novel, we have this small chapter. And in this chapter, she will be talking about the grinding poverty and the traditions which condemn these children to a life of exploitation. These children, आप already समझ गए कि already यहाँ पे 2 लोगों की बात हो रही है, मैंने आपको बता दी. Okay, story number 1 begins. The story starts like this. Sometimes I find a rupee note in garbage. Now, एक basic idea दे देती हूँ quickly से. Our first character is Sahib, and Sahib is a rag picker. He deals with garbage and everything. So rag picker आपने देखे होंगे. These people come to your home and pick up your garbage. So Sahib is a small boy who is a rag picker and he lives in the area of Simapuri. And it is said that Simapuri is a place wherein these people from Bangladesh, Dhaka, they have immigrated from these places, Simapuri, and they have set up their small colonies there. And in their colonies, these people are just living for the sake of living. They don't have sanitation facilities, they don't have proper food. All they have is just houses. Herein, houses are also not cemented or rock houses. Rather, these houses are very man-made. Chalo, read karte hain quickly. Why do you do this? I asked Sahib. I is the author here, that is Anees Jung. Whom I encounter every morning scrounging for gold. Scrounging matlab finding very earnestly. In the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Sahib left his home long years ago, said amidst the green fields. Amidst is in the middle of something, right? Somewhere in the middle of green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left, looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. Now, looking for gold implies better opportunities. It is not that they are actually looking for gold. They are just looking for better opportunities. For that matter, lifestyle, living standard, कुछ भी हो सकता है वो. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I said glibly. Realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound, there is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. So now this boy says that there is no school in my neighborhood. When they are going to build one, I will definitely go. So this author of ours, when she says that go to school, she instantly, the very moment, she herself found the statement to be so weird. Because it was easier said than done. आपने इतनी आसानी से बोल तो दिया go to school. But it was not that easy for him to go to school. Firstly, he had this circle wherein he had to be in that wake up in the morning and then go door to door and pick up garbage. He has to be there. That is why. Okay. If I start a school, will you come? I ask half jokingly. Half joking because she also knows that it is not going to happen. So yes, he very well said. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? Now just imagine this author of ours, she is going to be so embarrassed that this boy is coming, that you promised me school. Where is the school? It takes longer to build a school, I say. Embarrassed, as I said. at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. So, people in his world, people who are a part of his world, they would make false promises to him every now and then. So, he was accustomed to these bleak promises, to these unfulfilled promises. After months of knowing him, I ask his name. Sahib-e-Alam, he announces. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the Universe. Again, very, very important. There is a big irony in his name which says his name means Lord of the Universe. That means he represents being the Lord of the Universe, but as of his reality is, he works with army of barefoot boys who appear and disappear, appear like morning birds and disappear in the afternoon. Over the months, I have come to recognize each one of them. This implies that the author has known them for a while. Author has already known them for a while. Known them for a while. That is why she's saying that over the month, over the time, I've realized each one of them. I've started recognizing each one of them. This is also an important part. What was the irony in his name? It implies that his name suggests that, or the name's literal meaning is Lord of the Universe, while in reality he is even finding it difficult to make ends meet. Make ends meet. Difficult. This was difficult because he could not find proper facilities. He had no access to proper money. Okay, why aren't you wearing chappals? I asked one time, I asked one boy. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf. Even if she did, he will throw off. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes. So there's a third boy who has never owned a pair of shoes all his life. He's like, traveling across the country, I've seen children walking barefoot in cities and village. It's not lack of money, but it's a tradition. But these people, they're not following any traditions. It represents their perpetual state of poverty. Perpetual is something very visible, something very evident. It represents their evident state of poverty. The author says that I have seen many people, I have seen many children. They do skip wearing shoes, but that is out of their tradition, their religious belief. But herein, that's not the case. These people have left wearing shoes because they cannot afford one. Just look at कितने poor हैं ये. Look at their level of poverty, that they just cannot afford a pair of shoe. I remember a story from Udupi once told me, as a young boy he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation, like lonely, nothing is surrounding. In the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived, panting, and threw his school bag on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others like the rag pickers, they remained shoeless. So it implies that for some people things have changed, but for these rag pickers, these things have not changed, and probably these things will not change also in the future. If they are poor, they are going to be poor. There is no going back or returning for them. I hope you're understanding. I hope the pace and everything is all making sense to you. It's a very easy chapter actually. बस आपको ये ध्यान रखना है that ये exploitation पे कहानी है. Both the boys, both the man, like both men, and how they're dealing with it. My acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri. Now the entire beautiful, vivid description of Simapuri. Very, very important. A place on the... There has been a question literally like this. A place on the periphery of Delhi at miles away from it, metaphorically. Now, Simapuri is a part of Delhi. Delhi being the capital of India and being the capital city itself, being the capital state itself, it has some, some rules and regulations, some opportunities for the people, some benefits. But Simapuri, though it's a part of Delhi, it is still having no opportunities, no benefits, nothing at all. Not at all. So those who live here are squatters who come from Bangladesh back in 1971. I told you already, these people have moved from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but it is no longer empty. So over the time, the population of Simapuri has increased because बहुत सारे लोग इधर उधर से they have come and they have settled in. Now see, look at the house they live in structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, drainage, or running water, live 10,000 rat pickers. So there is this very humongous number, that's 10,000. They don't have proper houses, they don't have proper roof, they don't have sewage facilities, drainage facilities. Matlab sanitation and health and hygiene have gone for a toss. They're just living together like animals. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voter list and enable them to buy grains. So this is also talking about corruption. That even though they don't have anything with them, they have ration cards, and with these ration cards, they are able to vote. And obviously, if they're able to get vote, if they're able to vote for a particular party, then the person would be able to benefit, like influence them to vote for them, and he or she would get benefit out of it. So that is why. Now in reply, in defense, they say that food is more important to us. We don't care who is the victorious clan, we don't care who wins the election, they are just not bothered about it. But for them, food is more important for survival than an identity. Survive करना is a struggle for them. Every day अपने आप को push करना and ensure करना that they have meal every day and they don't sleep empty stomach. That was more important for them. Rather than finding an identity, अपनी self respect, ये सब उनके लिए इतनी matter ही नहीं करती. For them, it is all about their survival. If we are able to get food, then we are able to survive. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. See a woman in tattered saris when I ask them why they left the beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Whenever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Transit homes is like temporary houses for a short period of time. Children grow up in them, become partners in survival. So partners in survival as in, firstly parents work कर रहे थे, वो जा रहे थे garbage pick करने. अब children have also started going and picking up garbage. That is why they have partnered in their survival. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Again, very very important line. Simapuri में और कोई business है ही नहीं. Nobody can perform any other task. It is all about rag picking. If you want to survive in Simapuri, then you have to pick up rags. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage is to them as gold. Now, you would see that this is like a exaggeration. And we have this literary device which is called as hyperbole. And you might see people having very different pronunciation for this word. Garbage to them is gold. Now, gold does not mean that gold element material. It is rather the oyster of opportunities. It is their daily bread, a roof over their head, and it is the leaking roof, even if it is the leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. It is said that for a child, gold implies, that is garbage implies adventure. किसी दिन वो garbage में कुछ ढूंढेंगे, उनको कोई टूटा टॉय या कुछ 5 रुपए 10 रुपए या एक कॉइन मिल जाएगा. Remember, इस चैप्टर का टाइटल है here, sometime I find a rupee in the garbage. That means it's a sense of adventure कि आज मुझे garbage में क्या मिलेगा. Right? But for the parents, it's nothing like that. They have to just go through people's shit and refuse and garbage and dump and refusal. So it's just mere life skill for the parents. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. So he's very excited. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging for. There's a hope of finding more. So obviously, अगर आपको एक दिन कुछ मिल गया कहीं पे, तो आपको लगेगा इसमें और भी मिल सकता है. As a child, this is just as childish greed. When you can find a coin, okay, it seems that for children, garbage is a different meaning from what it means for the parents. Very important again, important line. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the adults, it is a means of survival. I've already told you this. कि children के लिए it's a means of children के लिए it's a means of wonder and everything nice. But for the parents, for the adults, it's all about survival. That आज हम काम करेंगे जाके, we are going to pick up garbage, then we will be able to have food, and then only we'll be able to have our family sleep with full stomach. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. Now, see, tennis is an elite game. The gears and everything is costly. So, for this boy, even to dream that he could play the game, it's very distant. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirts and shorts. Someone gave it to me, he says in a manner of explanation. The fact that they were discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of one hole in one of them does not bother him. Now see, somebody has discarded his shoe because there was a hole, and for this boy Sahib, that also became a matter of glory and pride. That fine, it is such an amazing thing. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he's watching so intently is out of his reach. As I said, the tennis as a game is not for him. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in a tea stall down the road. I'm paid 800 rupees all my meals. Does he like the job? I ask. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. His steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulders. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the master who owns the shop. Sahib is no longer a master of his own will. Very, very important line. It implies that earlier, even though he was picking up garbage, but still it was his authority over the profession. He felt whatever he felt like doing. He did things whatever he felt like doing. He was excited to come to work every day. He was excited to scrounge for garbage, to scrounge for a dump. But now, even though he's paid well, obviously 800 rupees and all the meals, and he has a better job, कम से कम कूड़े में नहीं रहना पड़ता पूरे दिन, but still, the steel canister seems heavier. That means responsibilities बढ़ गई हैं. He has taken more responsibilities, and now there is no time for him to have fun and play. All his childhood has been stolen from him. Childhood has been stolen. Childhood has been lost. Spring in itself is a time wherein things are regrowing. It's the most beautiful season of the year. Things are regrowing. There is a rebirth. Nature is reviving. That is why it's the childhood is the symbolism of spring. Lost spring, lost childhood. This boy has lost his childhood. I hope it is clear. This last paragraph was quite a bit important. I cannot stress this enough. It was a bit important. Okay, now let's move to another story, which is I want to drive a car. And this is Mukesh's story. And again, he lives in Firozabad, and he has his own set of struggles. We'll see how and what kind of struggles he has to go through and he goes through, and what would be the similarities and the differences between these two boys. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I'll be a motor mechanic, he announces. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. I will learn to drive one. So you would see that there is a will in him. That I don't know, but I will learn. There's a will to learn. Will to maybe excel. Will to improve. Looking straight into my eyes, his dreams look like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town of Firozabad, famous for his bangles. So Firozabad, he lives in the place called Firozabad, which is famous for its bangle making industry. So it is India's glass blowing industry, where families have actually spent decades and decades doing the same profession, that is making glass bangles. Mirages, आपने देखा होगा, when travelers go in a desert, they would often have this illusion or a mirage that soon they are about to find that there's a pond, there's a lake. मतलब illusion होता है आपको, ऐसे लगता है कि आपकी चीज़ें fulfill हो गई हैं or you are able to achieve it, but that's not the case. Okay, now as I said that these families have spent generations, years and years, decades and decades working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. Now, business दिमाग चलाओ, अगर 10 business owners हैं, and if all the 10 business owners are doing the very same profession, do you think market में कोई competition होगा? Market में competition for द सेक ऑफ कस्टमर्स होगा, हर किसी को कस्टमर लेने हैं. कस्टमर तो लिमिटेड ही है, द कस्टमर पैकेज, द कस्टमर स्लॉट इज लिमिटेड. एंड इफ सिंस एवरीवन इज डूइंग द वेरी सेम बिजनेस, बिजनेस को प्रॉफिटेबल करना इज ऑल्सो अ वेरी बिग टास्क. सो Mukesh's family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the factory. So we are talking about child labor. पहले भी हम child labor की बात कर रहे थे, but it became very clear with this. So now what kind of situation they are in? Let's see. They work in glass furnaces with high temperatures, in dingy cells without air and light, that the law if enforced could get him and all those 20,000 children. Now वहाँ तो सिर्फ 10,000 रैक पिकर्स थे, यहाँ पे 20,000 children है, out of the hot furnaces where they slog the daylight hours. Now these children, they have been sitting in that dark and dingy places all throughout the day, and because of this there's a high risk of them losing their eyesight. बिकॉज पूरे दिन अगर आप अंधेरे में ही रहोगे और दैट टू आप वो हार्मफुल रेज लोगे, सब कुछ करोगे, योर आईज आर वेरी young, ना, you yourself is very young as a person, so ज़्यादा harm होगा. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. We walk down stinking lanes. Now see, हमने साहिब का घर देखा था, अब हम मुकेश का घर देखेंगे. What kind of house they're living in, such pathetic conditions. Stinking lanes choked with garbage, past homes that remain hovels with crumbling walls. Walls are falling down, the doors are falling down, wobbly doors, no windows, no ventilation at all. It's very suffocated, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. So it is like a coexistence. Animals, humans, together they are coexisting. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot and pushes it open. So even though he's saying that his house is being rebuilt, just look at the condition. कितना ही rebuilt हो जाएगा. And pushes it open. We enter a half-built shack. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. So खाना बन रहा है, of course. On the ground, in large aluminium platters are more chopped vegetables. A frail woman is cooking the evening meal for the entire family. Frail is very slim and very malnutritioned. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She's the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as Bahu. So she's basically the Bahu of the house, the lady of the house, the daughter-in-law of the house. So there's a lot of respect. Along with respect, she has a lot of responsibilities because she is in charge of 3 men. She has to take care of 3 people, 3 men. There's no other women in the house. There are no women at all, no woman at all. Husband है मुकेश और मुकेश के father हैं. So when the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. So veil is palla. So there's still parda pratha there out of respect. So whenever the father, that is Mukesh's father, whenever he would come, this lady would just hide behind. As custom demands, daughter-in-law must veil their faces before male elders. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. So it is an impoverished bangle maker. That implies that this man is no longer very rich, of course, impoverished. That is why. Despite long years of hard work, first as a tailor, then as a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his 2 sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knew, the art of making bangles. So whatever this man knew over the years, that was just to make bangles. And it was just this that he was able to teach these kids. He could not send them to school. He could not give them education. Was never their priority. Sahib, maybe education to hai nahi. Even if the boy wants to, then still there's nothing. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Now, Mukesh की grandmother old है. You might say that कोई और women नहीं है तो ये तो है. But she'll not be working. That is why Savitri, that's the name of the Bahu. She is responsible for working. Who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust. So obviously अगर आप इतना ज़्यादा आइज़ को स्ट्रेन करोगे तो ब्लाइंडनेस, अर्ली ब्लाइंडनेस इज़ वन थिंग जो बहुत कॉमन है यहाँ पे. ठीक है. कैन अ गॉड लिव इन गिवन लीनिएज एवर बी ब्रोकन? सो दिस इम्प्लाइज, दिस लेडी सेज कि गॉड ने हमें ये क्वालिटी दी है. दिस इज आर रिचुअल, दिस इज आर हेरिटेज, दिस इज आर लेगेसी. जस्ट इमेजिन दिस लेडी, शी हैज सीन husband go blind. Everyone is just living in pathetic condition. Born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, everywhere. Every street in Firozabad, spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow. Line mounds in unkempt yards, like not clean, are piled on four-wheeled handcrafts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes. So these bangles, they have been sold door to door like that, and in dark hutments next to line of flames of flickering oil lamps. So ऐसे उसको जला जला के shape बनाते हैं. That is why sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers welding pieces of colored glasses into circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman soldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine, tongs are chimta. So, see, this young girl, she's so cool with it. Like, she know what is this about. I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangle. Sanctity means purity, like the religious thing of it. She helps make it. Symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. You must have seen that it is very important for a married woman to wear bangles and all these beauty things, bangles, bindi, and all that. So that is why this young lady, this young girl, even though she's so young and whatnot, but still she understands that it is such an important task. It is so great. I mean, it is so important that she will be doing this. It will it will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red one second with the red bangles rolled onto her wrist. It implies that soon she will also get married. She will be married, and that is why she will also become a part of it. She will then become a bride, like the old woman beside her who became one many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. That means that she hasn't been able to eat a full stomach meal in the entire lifetime. That's a very big statement. Voice drained of joy. There's no happiness. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has reaped. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, I know nothing except making bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in. Hearing him, one wonders if she has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. He has a roof over his head. Now, see, people here, they have not been able to even get a house, a roof over their head. So, it is still better that these people have that. So, बेस्ट ऑफ नथिंग वाला ही अपने आप को ही कह रहे हैं कि एटलीस्ट हमारे पास ये तो है, बाकियों के पास तो ये भी नहीं है. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat rings in every home. The young men echo the lament of the elders. मतलब ये फॉलो हो रहा है. It's like a cycle. मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, मेरे बच्चों के पास पैसे नहीं है. So that is why if I am poor, then my kids will also be poor. Like that. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. Now see, ability to dream is something which is mandatory. It's a fundamental right. But here, these kids, for that matter, Mukesh, for that matter, Sahib, they don't have this ability to dream. It is so sad and depressing that it is a very big task for them to even think of dreaming, to have a better life. They're not even asking for great things. They're just asking for basic necessities. Why not organize yourself into a cooperative? So this is what the idea came up. And it is like a vicious circle. Kiska vicious circle hai? Middlemen who trap their fathers and forefathers. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal. There is no leader among them. No one could help them see these things differently. Their father is as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. Very important line. So it's like they don't have leader. कोई भी help नहीं कर सकता उनकी. They'll just keep on moving from this to this to this to this. That is to poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. वो उसी cycle में ही फंसे रहेंगे. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. The other, a vicious circle of sahukars, middlemen, police, and the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. Together, they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Now, कुछ लोग गरीब हैं, कुछ लोग bureaucrats हैं, कुछ policemen हैं, corrupted people हैं. But ultimately, it is the children, the small children. उनकी तो कोई fault भी नहीं है. They are the ones who are forced into this cycle. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not a part of growing up. Very important line. So they just cannot even dare to dream. पहले ही हमने अभी यहाँ पे किया है ये, that they cannot even dare to dream about these things. That's why. Here, daring is not a part of growing up. So we've already seen this, that they just cannot dare to dream all of that. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. I want to become a motor mechanic. But Mukesh is different. He is not excited to be a bangle seller or to make bangles. He says, no, I will be a motor mechanic. He will go to a garage and learn, but the garage is a long way from home. I'll walk. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He's suddenly silent. No. Now see, उसके सपने भी इतने छोटे हैं. The dreams are also very limited. Dreams are also very normal. Because he hasn't been able to see such things. Very normal. He hasn't been able to see such things wherein he could see great things or something like that. So that is why यहाँ पे last line में आप देखो समझ आ जाएगा आपको. He says, staring at the ground in a small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. He is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling around the streets of Firozabad. Few airplanes fly over Firozabad. उसने planes देखे ही नहीं है, तो वो pilot का सपना कैसे देखेगा? उसके लिए car drive करना is also a task, a tedious task which he has to learn, for which he might have to fight, argue with parents and the society, because the grandmother will not leave it. The grandmother is so apprehensive. She's like, oh, you are born into this family, you have to do this. But this boy is very different. Now see, but by the way, this was all the chapter. I hope you've understood the chapter. There are few lines that I made you mark. There are few things that I told you that they are important. Along with that, there's also this importance in how these two characters are different. Both Sahib and Mukesh. And these two characters, how they're different. एक बार बस ये कर लेते हैं. Now see, Mukesh is a rag picker who lives along 10,000 rag pickers in the town of Simapuri. Sorry, Sahib. While Mukesh is a person who lives in Firozabad, and there are 20,000 child laborers over there, and he's a part of it. Sahib is a person who is not daring to dream. He has lost his mastery over his will. He has lost his ownership. While Mukesh is still at it. He still desires. He still aims. There's still a will that fine, whatever is the matter, I'll change. I'll become a better person. I'll learn better things. I will not get myself into this dungeon. I will not be a part of all this vicious circle. Now, I hope you have understood the chapter. If you have, well and good. If you liked my video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I have tried to make it as short, crisp and explanatory as possible. And also don't forget to join tomorrow, because I'll be doing CBSE questions and PYQs from this chapter, like the way I did for the last lesson. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'm going to see you tomorrow with another video with another set of questions for practice. Until then, have a great day. Bye.